the guy I'm most excited to talk about right now is, I think the Red Sox look like they may have done it again, finding, I don't know if you want to call it a hidden gem or what, but somebody who was
No,
not,
everyone knew Brandon Clarke.
yeah, no, of course, a household name out of state JC of Florida in their fifth round pick last
Uh-huh.
year. And if you just saw him in that first start, and he was good in his second start too, but I
hmm
watched that first start and you would have thought he was a first round pick. I mean, if
hmm
you had said, hey, Ben, this is Hagen Smith, White Sox top 10 overall pick in the draft last year, a left-handed pitcher, I would have been like, yeah, that looks like a guy who was top 10 overall. Now there's reasons and some good reasons why he didn't go in the first round last year, why he went in the fifth round instead, and we can get into that too. But man, that looked electric. I mean, 6'4", athletic, moving lefty who threw every fastball out of his hand was 95 to 99 miles an hour in that first start. It was 12 up, 12 down, 4 perfect innings, struck out 5 batters, and the slider was a wipeout pitch. It was upper 80s. So he's throwing it with power. It had a ton of movement on it too, can kind of manipulate it in different ways to get two plane depth, to get that sweepier action to it. That looks like it's going to continue to be a big time swing and miss pitch for him. Everything looked just phenomenal for a guy we didn't.
hmm
He was a fifth round pick last year. We didn't have him ranked in the Red Sox top 30 prospects coming into the year. And it is the number one farm system in baseball. But if you just saw him that day, I mean, he looked like a guy who could be in our top 100 pretty soon.
Yeah, Clark is a guy that, going back to his high school days, like, he had always really impressed with his pure arm talent. He threw a fastball that was up to 99 miles per hour coming out of State JC of Florida last year. It was the control and injuries that had always held him back. He had a Tommy John surgery in high school. He had shaky control throughout his JUCO days. And I think the most interesting piece to Brandon Clarke right now is, I mean, you mentioned how he looked good just throwing strikes in his first 2 outings, but he has a new breaking ball, at least new in terms of what I've experienced with him. Because as a draft prospect a year ago, we ranked him top 300 in the class. He went 148 overall, signed for $400,000, but he was mostly fastball, curveball. It was an upper 70s curveball and an upper 80s changeup. I'm not aware of him using a slider too much prior to being signed. But what's interesting too is he also pitched at the combine last year, and given his track record as a strike thrower, I was actually pretty impressed with how nice a job he did establishing the fact it was just a bullpen session. So you can't really go as far as saying like he dotted up against batters, but he located the fastball and changeup nicely. He threw a curveball that had 2,700 to 2,900 RPM spin. So the fact that he's kind of taken those ingredients and added this hellish looking slider, hard upper 80s pitch that really generated some ugly back foot swings from right-handed batters. It looks like a pitch that's going to be really effective against both righties and lefties, and his throwing strikes is super encouraging. But I'm not exactly sure what the development timeline was for the slider, but that pitch alone makes me a lot more excited about what he can do. I guess we'll see what happens with the command and control moving forward, but it is a really big frame. There's some, I don't know if there are directional concerns, like he throws across his body, but there are plenty of pitchers who throw across their body, and it's not really a huge issue. So he's super fascinating.
Yeah, it comes at you from that lower slot, that crossfire delivery. It seems like it's a tough angle for some guys to pick up, and then the stuff is just top end, front line type starter stuff. Now, part of the reason he won the fifth round, like you alluded to, is that he does have a history of shaky control. So far, it's been good. It's very early. He's, 22 years old. He's in low A. Okay, like he should be getting the best of those hitters, especially with his stuff. But he is at least throwing strikes early on, and he does have a history of Tommy John surgery in his past. So there's got to be some durability concerns. Can he handle a starter workload? Okay, like those are all fair questions to keep in mind with him. but boy, if he can continue to throw strikes and if he can hold up as a starter, I mean, if he can't, that's still going to be really electric out of a bullpen. But if he can be a starter, it's not just, oh, well, maybe he's a 4 or 5 starter.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody who looks like they could pitch toward the front end of a rotation. Now, still a lot of questions to answer, but it's hard to look much better than he has in his first 2 starts.
Yeah, I'll mostly just be curious, like what the strikes are going to look like when he's facing more competitive hitters, because it is 2 outings in low A competition, like you mentioned. But definitely exciting stuff. And the Red Sox have earned the benefit of the doubt with their drafting and developing in recent years. I guess cool for the Red Sox fans to see it on the pitching side, because I know that's something they've sort of lamented in their system. They want more arms. Well, maybe Clarke is a guy they can get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, they have Luis Perales, too, who's gotten, he had Tommy John surgery, so won't be seeing him for a little bit longer now. But Juan Valera, too, has looked really good early on. Right-handed pitcher, obviously international signing that they had for pretty cheap a couple of years back. So there's some good arms coming up in the organization right now, maybe more at the lower levels. I mean, Peyton Toley's been pretty good. So, yeah, there's definitely some depth of arms here that maybe get a little bit overshadowed just because of how good the very, very top guys in that system are.
Yeah, and just at his first 2 starts, he threw 34 sliders, 17 swings against the pitch, and 13 whiffs.
Clarke,
13 of 17 yeah, it's a 76% miss rate in his first 2 games on that pitch. Just utterly overwhelming for low A batters. And again, like just seeing that slider, I was like, okay, that's new. I'll be curious to hear more about kind of him developing that pitch, because he always had the ability to spin the ball.
Yeah, I think if you just go in, if you're a pro scout and you're just going in there blind, not knowing anything about his background or medical history, control, etc., what he did in college, where he played in college, you just went in and I think you'd say, yeah, I assume this guy must have been a first-round pick or not long after that, because this stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely.